Welcome back, housing enthusiasts of Tamriel. I'm Cal, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Journey's End Lodgings of Necrom. I've been working on and off on this in-room design for a while now, and I'm finally ready to share it. But this isn't just going to be a house tour. I thought this would be a good opportunity to show you all how I go about fully converting an in-room or another home in ESO by replacing all of the walls, all of the fixtures, and making it an in-room or home of my own design. If, like me, you're a little bit disappointed that we didn't get an in-room or a small home in Markarth, Fargrave, or any of the other third quarter DLC zones, then this is the video for you. I'll show you how to take an existing in-room and convert it into the style from one of those DLC zones. I've completely replaced all the walls, the floor, the ceiling, and the furnishings to give that Fargrave look. I've also used some vampiric lanterns that give it that sort of eerie blue light, which is more consistent with Fargrave, and I have hidden every bit of the Necrom textures. Let's get right to it. All right, here we are. This is the final design, fully furnished. I've covered up all of the Necrom textures with Fargrave style furnishings, and then I've turned it into sort of a Tales of Tribute room with all of my trophies from Tales of Tribute, as well as many of the tapestries on the walls. And like I mentioned in the intro, we are using the vampiric lanterns to give that blue light, making it a little bit more consistent with what you see in Fargrave itself. I've even covered the entrance here as best I can. Of course, you can't place any furnishings too close to the entrance, but I do think this door works really well. It actually matches up pretty nicely with the Fargrave stuff, and then of course I can close it to hide that Necrom door behind it and complete the look. Now, of course, the Tales of Tribute portion of this design is not necessary, and you're here to see how I went about converting this from a Necrom style in-room into a Fargrave style in-room. So let's go ahead, strip it back to the studs, and then we'll start over from the beginning. All right, here we are back to the bare bones of the Journey's End lodging with just our Necrom lantern. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started putting everything back together. So first things first, let's go ahead and get this Necrom lamp out of here. And while I'm building, one of the things I like to do is drop the beacon of Tower 0. So I'm going to go ahead and just put that right in the middle of the room so everybody can see what I'm doing. Now, if you want to fully convert an in-room like this, the first thing that I like to do is start with the floor. And I'm going to go ahead and swap this to just show the furnishings in my inventory, since most of what we need is going to be in my inventory. And I am using the Fargrave platform here. Now, there are a number of furnishing styles that have platforms. Most of this stuff is crafted. So if you don't want to do a Fargrave styled in-room, you could certainly do a Rimmon or a Solitude. Markarth has all the pieces that you would need. I think there's also Druidic and stuff like the Apocrypha furnishings. So there's a lot of options here. Now, one of the first things that you're going to notice is that red outline. So you can't place anything too close to the doorway. So we just need to back this up until we get it to a point where I can drop it, and then we will finesse it into place. Now, one of the nice things about this in-room is that it's one of two homes in the game that I'm aware of that's sort of oriented on cardinal directions. Normally what you would need to do is go into this precision edit mode and flip over to the rotation mode, figure out exactly what angle the walls are at so that you can match up to them. But for this in-room, I'd already figured out that it is on those cardinal directions, so everything is going to be rotated to 90, 180, 270, or 0 degrees. We got pretty close here at the start, but I'm just going to go ahead and tweak that a little bit to get it right to 270. And then I want to sink it into the floor as far as possible. I just want it high enough up to cover up the Necrom flooring. And then I'm going to move it as close to the door as possible. And that is our floor basically done. Next thing is I'm going to go ahead and cover up the walls. All right, so let's go ahead and grab our Fargrave wall interiors here. And I'm going to go ahead and push these back as far as possible to start. All right, and then let's go ahead and get their angles right. So this one's just a little bit off. We're going to put it at 0 degrees. And then let's go ahead and pick a height here. So just something easy to remember because it's a nice little seam there at the floor. All right, so 48, 495. Let's go ahead and get the height right for these other ones real quick, and then we'll worry about the rotations. Now, if you're not working in the Journey's End Lodgings, or I believe it's Cold Harbor Surreal Estate is the other one that is oriented on those cardinal directions, you're going to have to figure out what those angles are for each of the walls. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull this one in just a little bit. Maybe pull this back wall up a little bit as well. And you can see all our seams are looking pretty good because we got the exact same Y value. It's going to be a little bit difficult to cover up this wall, right? Basically, we can't place anything too close to the door. So I'm going to go ahead and pull in these side walls a little bit and cover up as much of that exterior pillar as I can. So same thing over here. Let's go ahead and pull it into the room just a little bit, just until we cover up that pillar. Perfect. And that might actually allow us to push this one back a little bit. Let's see what we've got to work with. Okay, so you can see those corners are just popping through sort of the crown molding there. We got that placed. Let's go ahead and put our ceiling on. So I'm just using another Fargrave platform, and we're going to drop that right there. And I think I want it to go this way. So now we could bring it down there, and then our walls would just be that sort of plaster. But I kind of like how these Fargrave walls have that little almost like crown molding feature there. So let's go ahead and get the angle right on this one. I think that's pretty good right there. You know what? I actually don't like that. I am going to rotate it like this, and then I can line up this seam on the back wall, and I think that's going to give us a better look overall. Okay, so now we got to do something about this entrance. Now, I tried a few things here, but the big facade here, Fargrave facade huge, was the best. So I'm just going to go ahead and drop this in the room, and then we'll worry about getting it in the exact right spot in a second. And we're going to need one on each side. Great. Okay, so back into precision edit mode. I'm going to straighten it and then rotate it. All right, 273. We need to get that to 270. And there it is. And now let's get it as close to that door as possible, and then we'll do the other one. Just a couple more centimeters. There we go. Okay, that is about right. Let's go ahead and do the next one. Now these ones, it's not quite as important to get the height exactly right. I think the main thing is just making sure that you don't have any ugly, unnecessary seams there. So we've just about covered up all of the Necrom textures here. The last thing that I did was I used these Fargrave colonnade halls, a massive piece, and really I just want to cover up these seams a little bit. So let's go ahead and drop this one right here. And we just need to add the doorway now, and we will be just about done with the in-room conversion, and we can start decorating. I know that the door we're using is not quite as tall as this piece is. Can we move it any closer to the door? I do want this texture to show and not that. I think it's a little bit cleaner look than if I sink it too far back in there. Right. So right about there. Okay, let's get the colonnade hall in the right spot. All right, that needs to be 180 degrees so that everything lines up nicely. And let's go ahead and move it over. Basically, I want to try and center it on the door, and then I will center our doorway on the actual door. I think I want to move this out into the room just a little bit. Just create a nice seam over here. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and link these together so that I can move them as a group. And I just want to kind of nudge it over a little bit so that it lines up a little bit better with the exit. And let's go ahead and throw our Markarth door here. And I was pleasantly surprised to find that this matches up pretty well with the Fargrave door. All right, at this point, we have fully converted the room, and now it's time to decorate. And if you recall, I did have this additional Fargrave stairway just to create a little raised platform for the Tales of Tribute table. And I thought that was a nice look. Basically, I just set it right in about like that. I'll go ahead and get the angle just right. I'm going to go ahead and add my hearth now. There's no Fargrave fireplace, so I am using the Leowin fireplace here. Make sure that angle is correct. Perfect. And I'm going to go ahead and link those up so that now I can tweak those just a little bit. Maybe center them up on that wall. Nice. It's pretty good. And now let's go ahead and throw in the lighting that we actually want to use in the room. So first things first, we need to grab our fire logs. Those will go in the fireplace. And then for the main lighting in the room, I am actually using these vampiric sconces, the blue ones, not the warm light ones. And this just matches the Fargrave lighting a little bit better. So I had 2 of these on each wall, which was just about enough light for this room. We can now get rid of the beacon of Tower 0. And there we are. Now it's really feeling like Fargrave. Okay, let's finish these decorations off. This is a Tales of Tribute house, so you gotta have Bragas. And then I had Captain Kayleen, which is another reward you get from playing Tales of Tribute. Put down the Tales of Tribute table. I want to say that's under Gallery Display. And there it is. And on top of it, I had the travel kit. Just on a corner. and then I had a couple of nice Leowin chairs. And for me, I think that the Leowin style is probably the closest match to this Tales of Tribute table, but there's plenty of options out there for chairs that you could use. All right, let's get our trophies up on the mantelpiece. One of the things I really like about this fireplace is that it actually has a little mantle where I could put these trophies. I do wish I had enough furnishing slots to put the other two, but in this case, I only had enough furnishings left to put these 3. And I'm not going to worry about getting these perfect. You guys get the idea. And then on the walls, I had some tapestries. And I just picked 6 of my favorites. I did sort of a little color transition. So this side was all the warm colors, yellow to red. And I'm not going to worry about getting these ones perfect because at the end here, I'm just going to go ahead and undo all these steps and get right back to the perfect layout that I had at the start. I spent a lot of time making sure that all the tapestries were perfectly aligned with just the right amount of space between them, evenly spaced across the wall. And of course, you can pick your favorites if you wanted to do something similar. And we'll throw the Mercy Mother right here. I don't remember if this is the exact order I had them in, but that's okay. We're just trying to get the general idea here. We're just about done. Yeah, we've got room for one more collectible and then special furnishings. So I had my Dragon's Treasure Trove. This is from an Elsewhere event back in the day. And here it's meant to represent all of my Tales of Tribute winnings. But that is it. We are basically out of furnishings other than special collectibles, which are some of the rarest pieces in the game. There aren't too many special collectibles. But it is May, and they've been doing that Crown Store sale, so I picked up Mists of Hag Fen. I kind of felt like for a room this size with a fireplace and, you know, no real ventilation, maybe there'd be sort of like a haze of fog in here, or smoke from the fireplace. So I was using that right there. And then you may have seen it at the start of the video, but I did have one more piece here, the Scrying Braziers from the Infinite Archive. They are also special furnishings, which is kind of cool. I do like it for that little bit of green light there, but mostly I was using it to get a better angle for some of the shots. But we've got room for it, so it can stay. And that's it. We've just recreated the in-room. At this point, I would spend a little bit more time getting everything just right, but not too bad for 8 minutes of work. All right, let's rewind that process and get everything back where it goes. And that is going to do it for today's house tour and home design tutorial. Thank you all so much for watching. I do hope you picked up a couple helpful tricks that you can put to use in your next ESO home. If you're a fan of The Elder Scrolls Online, be sure to subscribe for more ESO content. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons over on Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel directly, get your name in the credits, and gain access to the occasional bonus video, you can click that link on screen now. I also happen to have a Discord channel if you'd like to chat about ESO housing, or perhaps just get an invite to my guild in The Elder Scrolls Online. You can find that link in the video description. I'll be back again real soon with another ESO video, and I can't wait to see you all in Gold Road next week. Be sure to check out my Skin Grad tour next to learn more about our new capital city. Bye for now, everybody.